What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about revolvers. Big bore revolvers. Some of the biggest. The X-frame Smith and Wesson models. Some of you may have heard the news that Smith and Wesson has released a new Model 350 revolver in the X-frame. That's what it's called. It's the Model 350. It actually looks really beautiful. It looks like all their other X-frame revolvers. They really do make a good looking pistol. They're amazing. When you actually hold them in your hand, the size and the weight of an X-frame. This is a 500 Magnum. This is one of the original old style compensators on there. It doesn't have the break that a lot of the newer ones have, but something about holding this firearm in your hand, or a shorter version, this is the Model 460. This is still the X-frame, but this is a performance center model, and it is a snubby. So these things are just monsters in your hand. I mean, this thing compared to the size of my head is crazy. So here's the palm of my hand. There you go. Just look at the size of the cylinder. Bonkers. And yep, my hands are filthy and I can't get that off today. So I'm touching a really nice clean gun with a stained up hand. But anyway, these things are substantial. This is not legal to hunt with where I live, this little short one. The cartridge is legal, the barrel length is not. However, I can hunt with this one. Anything over 5 inches in my state is good to go, and this is 7 something, so I'm good to go with this. This is the 500 Magnum, like I said, and the round that this thing shoots is bonkers. So here's a Smith and Wesson 40 caliber round. And here's a 500 Magnum round. Pretty crazy. Let me show you the 460. So here's the 40 caliber round compared to the 460. That thing is like a little missile. Now the 460 next to the 500, the 460 is a little bit of a longer case and a little bit overall longer round. However, it's a little bit skinnier. So you're dealing with basically 45 caliber versus 50 caliber. More boom in this one, more speed in this one. So the 500 Magnum is the largest production caliber handgun in the world, therefore technically kind of the most powerful, and the 460 is the highest velocity production handgun in the world, basically. Now there are other guns out there chambered in all kinds of stuff. I'm sure there's a handgun that's chambered in 50 BMG, but common production handguns that you can get, order, have at your store, buy ammunition for, this is it. It's not an oddball caliber. It's not something weird that you have to load, a breech loader or anything like that. It's a real revolver. It's a hunting, it's a practical use handgun. Either one of them. They're pretty crazy. They're pretty cool. Smith and Wesson, when they developed these two guns in the X-frame, they changed the revolver world. It was pretty much topped out at 454 Casull and some really crazy hot long Colt loads, or Colt loads. 44 Magnum, people loaded that like crazy. And then you had all your rifle calibers that they could be put into some sort of a handgun. However, by making this X-frame and making the 500 Magnum just a standard cartridge and the 460 just a standard cartridge, they changed the game, and they did a lot of cool stuff for the hunting world. Now, what are we talking about all this history for when it comes to the 350 Legend Revolver that they've currently just released and just shown us? Well, all of that backstory and a little bit more that I still have to give you about the 460, it kind of, in my opinion, almost would make the 350 Legend Revolver a non-needed item. It's one of those things, I hate to say it, but it's an answer to something nobody asked. Let's touch on the 460 real quick. If I did have the 460 in a longer barrel and it was a hunting handgun, one that I could legally use in my state, I can also carry or use 45 Colt. So this is critical defense. This isn't really made for hunting. However, you could use it for that. That's a 185 grain bullet, I believe. So that's an FTX. But I can also shoot a 454 Casull, a 300 grain XTP. So the 454 Casull is no joke. However, in the X frame, it's more handleable than it is in some of the older revolvers or previous revolvers that you've seen it in. It's pretty close to shooting a 460, especially with this Hornady Custom. But the point is that it is shootable. The Colt can be loaded very hot and shot out of one of these X-frame revolvers, and so can the 454. You can, of course, take it up to the 460. There's a couple different loadings I have here, and this one in particular is the 200 grain FTX by Hornady. Now that's producing 2,200 feet per second out of the barrel right there. That's muzzle. At 50 yards, it's still doing 1948, and at 100 yards, it's still doing 1715. That's really pretty good. Compare that to 350 Legend. I'll put up some numbers right here. So there's going to be debate on what's a better shooting cartridge, what's a flatter shooting cartridge, what's a nicer cartridge to shoot, what's more effective on the deer, or whatever you're going to shoot. There's a variety of different ammos that you can accomplish this with, especially, you know, when you start looking at different companies, they do different things. This Federal Fusion, that's a 260 grain bullet as opposed to the 200 grain. When you get back into the 500 grain or the 500 Magnum, you're dealing with a grain count that I can go right now from 300 grain, 375 grain, 400 grain, 500 grain, and if we really want to get bonkers, we can just do the Underwood 700 grain, lipstick rounds. Sorry, I can't talk. My face is still paralyzed. I'm sure you can see that by now. Hopefully that resolves itself soon. But the bottom line is you have a huge ammo selection for both of these guns. In the 460 here, we have 3 different calibers that we can shoot, and then we have all the different rounds associated with that, all the types of different rounds and all the different loadings. And plus, if you're a hand loader, then that's just a dream. When it comes to the 500 Magnum, you have almost the same amount. It's more expensive to shoot the 500 Magnum, and the ammo can be a little bit harder to find, but it is out there. A lot of specialty companies actually make a lot of really cool hunting ammo for the 500 Magnum specifically. If you reload your 500 Magnum, then you can do really cool stuff. A little thing to note here, the Platinum tip is a really good hunting round, and I did a video on it before. You should see what happens when you try to use this as a black talon, because it really is a black talon technology. So I have a whole bunch of projectiles. I have more than 150 of these, I think. I'll be loading 500 Magnum for hunting forever. So will I need to personally buy another X-frame revolver for hunting? No, I'm set with this. But what about you? The 350 Legend is a cool cartridge in itself. It's helped a lot of people in some of the states that aren't allowed to shoot bottleneck cartridges, Ohio being one of them. A lot of people used to really have to rely on the 450 Bushmaster, 4570, things like that. 357 Magnum, 44 Magnum, 45 Colt loaded hot enough, things like that. We do have more options now. If you look hard enough, you're always going to find a gun in your collection or somebody else's collection or the store or something that you can use. A lot of people were limited to shotgun, and those have very short ranges effectively. So now that you're allowed to use rifle cartridges, it makes sense to get optimized for deer hunting rifle cartridges, such as supposedly is the 350 Legend. Now, is the 350 Legend optimized to come out of this? That's the question. I don't know how it's going to perform out of these short barrels. I know that other companies have done it. I believe that the BFR, whatever company makes the BFR revolver, I can't think off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure they've already done it. So if anybody has that revolver and has any experience, let us know what that actually shoots like. I know there were a lot of AR-15 upper receivers made for 350 Legend, and I know if you look on the store shelves right now, that's one of the few hunting cartridges that you can find. So they did push it all over the place, but they pushed it as a rifle cartridge. Again, I'm not sure how it will do out of a handgun. Now, once you're up close and personal to a deer, like you usually are with handgun hunting, I don't know if the ballistics downrange really matter that much. Leading us back to, what's the point? I'm just saying this personally. I'm asking you, maybe tell me, educate me a little bit. I'm not really a huge handgun hunter. I do every now and then. However, I'm not into all the numbers about it. I just know that a big enough cartridge out of a big enough revolver will knock a deer down every time. Um, a guy at a gun store told me one time when we were having all these caliber debates about all these different scenarios, and an older guy just looked over and he made a funny, simple comment one day. He goes, dead is dead, and I can't argue with that. Dead is dead. Whether it's a shotgun, handgun, rifle, whatever it is, as long as it's not a 22, you'll probably get a deer knocked down with it if you have some good shot placement and you're close enough and you know what you're doing. You might have to chase them a little bit farther than others, but is there really a need for a price range revolver right here? I mean, look at the price on that. Brand new, it only shoots 350 Legend. It doesn't have any other capabilities like the 460. You're going to have to shoot this with moon clips. Moon clips are a pain in the butt, let me tell you. Maybe other people have had other experiences. I hate moon clips. I had one nice 45 ACP revolver, a Jerry Michlik version. That was one of the most accurate revolvers I've ever had in my life, but I couldn't stand loading the moon clips for it, and I couldn't stand punching out the 45 ACP individually. So that's a no-go for me. It's convenient to load a revolver with moon clips, but in some states, are you even allowed to carry more than 2 or 3 rounds for hunting, or 3 or 4 rounds? Are you allowed to carry a full cylinder? So I get for practice, but in general use, you're not going to be doing any speed reloading in the woods with your 350 Legend, I don't believe. So this actually kind of just seems like a very expensive specialty oddball revolver. I don't know if Smith and Wesson was bored. From what I understand, they have a few engineering issues that they need to work out. Now, they should take some people from certain teams and put them on other teams. Like the 10mm team needs help, I'm pretty sure. I think their 12 gauge was a disaster. As far as revolvers, I don't know where their quality control is on that right now. I do love Smith and Wesson revolvers. It's been sad that over the past couple of years, we haven't really seen them on the shelves. Everywhere I go, the production of Smith and Wesson revolvers is really low. At least, I don't think they're coming to the shops from what I hear. Maybe they're going places and people are buying them up, but I just don't see them. Especially some of the more cool ones that I like to see. The Common, the 686, you're going to see those out just about everywhere. However, you're not seeing some of the bigger, cooler ones, and maybe this is why. Maybe they were focusing on this. They took some attention away from some of the 460s and the 500s. Is there a different caliber I think that we could have developed for the X-Frame? I'm sure you could develop all kinds of calibers for the X-Frame. You could make a new proprietary cartridge for it if you wanted to. As long as the bullet's 50 caliber, I think you can make the case just about as big as you want, so you could do something neck down. I don't know, you could play around, I'm sure, but again, what's the point? You already have these 2 X-Frames that do so much. What's the point of a dedicated 350 Legend revolver? So I'm not going to keep beating that to death. You tell me in the comments if I'm wrong, or if you agree with me that it's kind of pointless, or tell me if I'm just completely missing something I'm not even thinking about. It'll be a nice revolver, I'm sure. It'll be a good shooter, I'm sure. Maybe it has some kind of an application eventually for target shooting. But these other revolvers are big and huge and fun, and they make huge, crazy booms. If you want to tame them down, you can go to 500 Special, or you can go to 45 Colt. So I don't see the reason to have the in-between. And if you want a true in-between on the 460, just go to 454. Let me know if you're going to be picking one of these up. I am personally going to not touch one. No reason for me to do it. I already have enough handgun calibers that I can hunt deer with. I already have big frame revolvers. This isn't something for defense. This isn't something I'd use for hunting. This isn't really something I would even use for fun. I almost question if there was kind of a cooperation between Winchester and Smith and Wesson to try to move the cartridge along just a little bit farther, because 350 Legend may have kind of topped out and plateaued a little bit as far as where they thought it was going to go. Like I said, I do see it all over the place on the shelves and on for sale. It's all over. So obviously they're not selling out of it. It's not flying off the shelves. I personally don't know many people that hunt with it. I think I've heard of a couple of people hunting with it. I don't know anybody that near me that I know that actually uses it actively. So maybe this was a collaboration to try to push the cartridge along a little bit farther so that it doesn't die. Maybe before you know it, we're going to see X-Frames chambered in 30 Super Carry. I don't know. Just joking. Don't go crazy. Anyway, I hope you like this little bit of information. Hope you like the video. Until we see you next time, stay safe, have fun, and keep shooting. You can subscribe too.